Hello, my name is Heather Birch, and I am the owner of Birch Love Productions. It's a company that works in show design for indoor guard, as well as music compilation. I also do consultation for marching season and for winter season for color guard. I also offer color guard staff training. I do have a book coming out soon for color guard instructors. It's going to have a lot of great information in it. It should be out August of 2025. I have been instructing color guard for over 12 years between Florida, Texas, South Carolina, and Tennessee. I've been teaching dance in some capacity for over 20 years. You're welcome to look me up on LinkedIn, and you can see my full resume there. Recently, I had an opportunity to teach a few classes at a local clinic here in South Carolina, and one of them was Musicality in choreography. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What is choreography? A lot of times people will think, well, that's basically the routine that we do, right? Well, in guard, a lot of people assume that that's equipment. They immediately jump to equipment for some reason. I was also that way until I came back into the guard world back in 2018. So let's talk about choreography. What is it? The definition for choreography is the art of creating movement that tells a story, expresses emotions, and captivates an audience. It's an art, so always remember that choreography comes from a creative space in your brain, and I promise you there is an endless amount to that art form. We as humans are amazing. The things that inspire us and the things that inspiration turns into is endless. Choreography also tells a story. So now, of course, when we're talking about shows, whether it's on the field or on the floor, they don't always have a storyline necessarily. However, your choreography does tell a story. If you look at the science of body language, it is fascinating. But then you tie that into dance, and it's a whole nother level of storytelling. So keep in mind, whenever you're moving or whenever you're not moving, no matter what you're doing, whether it's with equipment or just your body, you are telling a story. It also expresses emotions. Our body just moving is going to express some type of emotion. Now, when we bring our facial features into it, of course, that's going to give us a better understanding of that emotion that we are trying to express. Choreography captivates an audience, or it should. If it's not captivating an audience, then there is a problem. When I talk about an audience, I'm also including judges as well. Everyone should be captivated. Everybody should be tied to the edge of their seat, not wanting to look away. When you captivate someone's attention, they want more. So choreography is everything we see. It's dancing, breathing, moving, emoting, holding, and yes, even spinning with equipment. When choreography is synchronized well with music, that's what we call musicality. You'll hear in judges' tapes sometimes that this will be a point of concern or a point of praise. Musicality is when what you hear matches what you see. So that is our job as color guard instructors and choreographers, is to make sure that what we're hearing and what we're seeing are the same. Musicality is expected at every level, from your elementary middle school guard all the way to your world independent guard and all the way to your DCI world guards. As a choreographer, you should expect it of yourself. Choreography comes from you. It's birthed in you. It's a combination of factors. It is your vocabulary and your experience. So what you know and what you've done plays heavily into what your choreography looks like. It also is your mood and attitude. I always recommend not writing choreography if you feel funky. If you are not in the mood, if you are not feeling it, it's not going to come out well. It's not going to be a good piece of work for you. If you're writing a book, you have writer's block, it's not time to sit down and try and figure out what you want to write. It's the same with choreography. It is an art form. It is a creative outlet. Make sure that you are in the right headspace, in the right mood, and the right attitude before you tackle a piece of choreography. What are the limitations for you choreographing? Your physical limitations are, of course, if you have any injuries. Obviously, we have a lot of knee problems, wrist problems, and ankle problems in color guard. Your physical health and your stamina play a big factor in your choreography. If you are really, really out of shape and you go to choreograph a piece that is, say, a minute long and you're huffing and puffing through it, that's going to limit what you're going to write. You're going to write to what your body is telling you you can and can't do. So be aware of that. The better your health, the less limitations you have. There are some times where we will have mental limitations. Obviously, mental health is a huge part of that. If you're going through a hard time, if you're dealing with depression, anxiety, I personally deal with anxiety, then you have to know yourself well enough to know when to not choreograph. Your experience, your vocabulary, your skills, those are all things that you have complete control of in building. How do we do that? We find, we learn, we teach, and then we repeat. When I came back into the guard world in 2018, I don't think I could have gotten anywhere without really getting the foundational things, reminders of what was important in teaching, technique and how important technique was. There are so many great channels on YouTube that can help you with this. It's just a matter of finding them. Watch performances. I'll make it a point to go see a DCI show if there's one locally. I'll also make it a point to go watch band competitions and winter art competitions if I'm not already there. Videos online and live performances. They're going to build your education, your skills, and your vocabulary. Don't just look up guard stuff. Look up dance stuff. Man, I can't even tell you how many times I have just had a dry spell when it comes to dance choreography, and I went and I watched maybe an hour or two of just dance videos just to get that inspiration going in my brain, and it has helped tremendously. Get together with other instructors. The independent guard that I instruct is actually a guard of instructors, and one of the things that I found in our first year that we really enjoyed doing was not just talking about our kids and our programs, not just learning new choreography and not just performing together in exhibition, but we really pushed each other. Man, the choreography that I've learned from some of the instructors that were choreographed our show last year was such a different style, so different than what I have experienced already up to this point in my life. So yeah, getting together with other instructors, just having a spin day. Just if you have any clinics or camps in your area, get to them. It's going to, again, build your education, your skills, and your vocabulary. Find a phrase or trick and learn it. And then find another one and learn that one. There was a guy on YouTube. He had a lot of wrap around the body equipment tricks that I really loved. He had one that was really challenging, and I saw it and I was like, that is amazing, and there's no way I could ever learn that. Well, I learned how to do that trick. It helped me see something and experience something that I had never before. It built my vocabulary. It built my education as far as understanding how the equipment moves around your body when you shift your body, when you turn and you rotate certain parts of your body, when you lean, how gravity works with the movement of your body when it comes to the equipment and how it moves around you, and then teach it. When you teach it, it makes you more accountable for doing it correctly. It helps you really break down and understand the technique behind the phrase or the trick, and it makes you so much better when you have the responsibility of not just learning it, but teaching it. Plus, your kids are going to love it. Challenge yourself. Learn 5 new phrases or tricks before each season. Band camp is usually a week or 2 long. Some of you go through 3 weeks of band camp. You have those sectional times. Teach a new trick each day. Will it ever be on a show? Probably not, and that's okay. Challenge your veterans. If you've got performers who you've been teaching for several years in high school, you've got performers in an independent program who have years of experience, challenge them. Tell them to find and learn a new trick and bring it and let them teach it. In high school, juniors and seniors, this is so fun. Give them the responsibility, especially your captains or those that you know spin really well, or those that you see have that natural teaching ability in them. Go for it. Have them learn some new tricks and have them teach it. Now, that doesn't excuse you from doing it as well, but this is something you can challenge your veterans and your experienced performers to do. When we're not challenged, we don't have growth. Don't use choreo from high school. If you didn't choreograph it, you don't have a right to use it. If you choreographed it, like I said earlier, this is an art form. There is an endless supply of where this came from. You do not have to use old choreo. Now, if you want to use a 4-count trick, that's a little different. But 16-count phrase, unless it's on swing flag, because there's only so much you can do with swing flag. Inspiration with your creative brain, there's an endless supply of choreography coming out of you. Reusing choreography is also an excuse for developing new choreography and challenging yourself and stretching yourself. Choreography is an art form. Do not copy and paste. What does growth do? Growth will cause the complexity and the interest value of your writing to change. That is a good thing. It will build your confidence. It's going to help you develop your own style When you do choreography long enough, you'll realize that you have a style. In that style, there are certain things that you gravitate more towards. You'll have a happy band director. Your administration will be happy. If you're constantly pushing yourself, that means you're going to keep pushing your kids, expanding your vocabulary, expands their vocabulary as you teach them, and it's going to benefit you in so many ways. It also is going to make you more valuable. Something you should always be striving for is to make yourself better. When you grow, your students will grow. As you add to your skill and vocabulary, you'll be adding to their skill and vocabulary. Your performers are going to enjoy the challenge. Humans are hardwired to rise to that challenge. They're going to meet it. They're probably going to exceed it. You don't want to stay in a stagnant state and repeat the same thing you did last year or last season. You always want constant growth. Pushing out of your limits and teaching the kids pushes them out of their limits, gives them a chance to be proud of themselves. They will be more confident on and off the floor. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen the difference when they go on that field and they knock out that performance. The way they are around their friends, the way they feel about themselves, it changes. They're going to be more confident, not just as performers, they're going to be more confident as human beings. They'll love the activity more. You always want to get kids to buy in. You want them to buy in and you want them to stay. If they start in 6th grade, you want them to stay all the way until they're a senior. You don't want anything to even question if they want to come back next year or next season. You're going to have parents that are going to be so much more appreciative of what you do. Your performers deserve your best. Give them choreography that is attainable and slightly challenging. So you want to challenge them a little bit more each season to grow. Whatever you do, do it well. Walt Disney is quoted with that, and it's true. You've been tasked for a job, whether you're volunteering, whether you're getting paid, whether it's full-time, part-time, your choreography should be the best that you can do. So let's talk about musical vocabulary, because if we're going to talk about musicality and choreography, and we talked about what choreography is, we've got to cover some of the music vocabulary. So these are just a few things that you need to know and be aware of. Typically in marching band, you're going to hear these a lot more, but these are also good for reference anytime you're dealing with music and choreography. The beat is the pulse or the heartbeat of the song. Tempo is the speed of that beat. Time signature or meter is your 4/4, 3/4, 5/4. Measure is 4 beats. Harmony is 2 or more things coming together well. A crescendo is when the music grows, rises. Decrescendo is when the music is falling. Staccato is a crisp, short sound, similar to like a hand clap. Legato is a smooth, blended sound, so it's more like what you hear if a flute is playing and holding a note for a measure. Phrasing is what I refer to as chunks. An example of phrasing would be your intro, your first verse, your first chorus, your second verse, your second chorus, your bridge, your outro. Please, guard instructors, do yourself a favor. When you get your drill, look at your measures and look at your count sets and go ahead and start memorizing those, because band directors are not going to tell you, hey, go to that 16 counts after the 42. They're going to say, go to measure 20. And you need to know that. So go ahead and memorize those reference points so you can instruct your kids on where to go, because we don't talk in measures. So how do I choreograph with musicality? Okay, so let's talk about practical application of choreographing with musicality. So first we want to study. Second, we want to do a breakdown. Third, we want to ask some questions. Fourth, we want to create. And fifth, we want to adjust. So let me walk you through those. So the first thing we do is study. So think of your show as a lasagna recipe. This is the one I like to refer to because I make lasagna. I have an Italian background. So your sauce is going to be your wins. Your noodles are going to be your set. Your meat is going to be your percussion. And your cheese mixture is going to be your guard. I mean, you can eat lasagna with sauce and noodles and meat, but really it's not lasagna without cheese. Well, in that cheese mixture, we've got 4 main ingredients. We've got mozzarella cheese, we've got Parmesan cheese, and we've got ricotta cheese, and we have egg. So our cheese mixture, we've got mozzarella cheese, that's gonna be our flag work. We've got ricotta cheese, that's gonna be our saber work. We've got Parmesan cheese, that's gonna be our rifle work. And then we have our eggs, which hold everything together. That is our dance, body, and movement. Very important. Your choreography is one element of that recipe, but it has to mix into the recipe harmoniously with the sauce and the noodles and the meat, right? If it's going to be delicious, we got to make sure it all mixes. It also needs to bring a sense of something pleasant in addition to. So your show music, you want to try and get, especially your opener, early on. So if you can get it spring, early summer, that's what you're shooting for. Communicate with your band director, let them know that's when you need it. If you're independent guard, start working with your music editor. Me and my indoor clients start talking about music for indoor season in May or June, so early summer, because we want to make sure we have plenty of time. It's done, pretty much finalized for the show when they start rehearsals in August, September, and then of course I also do edits throughout the season, and that's all included in the cost if you need somebody to do your music. If you can get your show music spring or early summer, that gives you time to study it. You want to find its overall personality and mood. So this is my suggestion. When you get your opener music or you get your show music, listen to it 3 times without doing any analyzing. Don't let yourself fall into seeing choreography. If you need to keep your eyes open to not let yourself get into that zone, that's fine. Resist the urge to dissect it. Resist the urge to analyze it. Resist the urge to start choreographing mentally. You want to identify all the ingredients in layers. So when we talk about layering, we talk about when music builds on top of each other. Typically in marching band, that is your different instruments. So layering would be each instrument coming in or each group of instruments coming in. That would be a new layer. So I want to make sure that when you're choreographing, you recognize and you portray the same layers that are on the music. So how do all of these things work together? If you do not study the music, you're going to end up with rewrites. Here's how we do a breakdown. Just enjoy the music. You want to ask yourself, what is the mood of this music? You want to find those moments. Where's your biggest and your smallest? Where's your quietest and your loudest? Where does the music crescendo? Where does it decrescendo? Where is all the instrumentation layered in? Is there a solo going on for a musician? Then that's going to be a good place to have a solo dancer or a solo flag or a solo whatever. If you've got a duet, that's going to be a great place for a duet for your performers. What should choreography look like during these moments? The bigger, the quieter, the ups, the downs, the crescendos, the decrescendos. Well, obviously in crescendos, you build, add in one person, then another person, another person, another person, or ripples are great. Ripples build to something, a wow moment. So always make sure you have that. Your biggest moments when you crescendo to a full ensemble moment musically, you want to make sure that is a full ensemble moment choreographically with your guard. Obviously, a lot of times when we have those bigger moments in the opener and closer, that's typically on flag. Decrescendos, that could be a great place for transition. A lot of times we decrescendo in music when we are about to go into another piece of music, especially the ballad. That's a great time to pull one person off at a time for transitioning and then bring them back in as dance, kind of like a rotating door when you transition. What equipment would serve your soundtrack in each space? So if you look at your opener, typically we have that crescendo towards the end of the opener. If you've got a group that is strong on flag, most of your show needs to be flag. Can you put some rifle and saber in there? Of course, especially if it's a new thing and you're just introducing a piece of equipment, great. Please do not feel like you have to have rifle or saber. I have seen so many fantastic shows with just nothing but dance and flag, and they have been amazing. They served the soundtrack well. They were great for musicality. Don't feel the pressure to have weapons. If you do have weapons, understand how they serve you in each piece of the music. If you've got something more melodic, like your ballad, that's a great place for swing flags. We know that. Can swing flags be used outside of ballads? Of course they can. Sabers are the least visual piece of equipment on the field. The reason that I do saber on the field, when I do saber on the field, is because the performers are hungry for it. And it is minimal. So just remember, you don't really see sabers on the field. You're going to see more of the body on the field with the saber than you're going to see the saber. So know what equipment is going to serve you best with each piece of music and with each phrase in that piece of music. All right, counts and phrases. If you can get your opener drill before you start choreography, that is going to be in your best interest. You'll be able to line up your measures with your count sets, and you'll be able to choreograph based on the count sets that are already on the drills. It's going to help bring clarity and much less confusion for you and your performers and your band director and any other staff if you have your count sets in your choreography lined up to your count sets on the drill. More than likely you're working on your opener, so we'll listen to your opener again. We're going to break down the counts for each song. If your song is in 4/4 time, you're going to do either sets of 8s or 16s. There seems to always be an extra 1 or 3 or 5 at the end of the opener, and that's fine. You want to identify those numbers. If you're doing 3/4 time, it's going to be in sets of 6 or 12s, possibly 18s. If you're doing 5/4 time, shoot me an email. We'll cry together. I'll help you fight that battle. If you want to write or type your count sheet in vertical form, it may take several times for you to do this, especially for field music. Go over it. Even if you think you got it, go over it one more time just to make sure your count sheet lines up with the music. If you struggle with counting music, make sure you're involving your body in those counts. That will help you clarify. You can clap, slap your leg, slap a table, walk, step. When the music gets exciting, it might be louder or faster. When the music is resting or going into a rest state, it's going to become calmer, slower, and quieter. So after you're done with that, you want to listen to the music again. Now you want to make the notes of your phrase identifiers. That would be things like big, small, high, low, fast, slow, hold, solo, duet, trio, heavy dance, flag, full flag, flag feature, rifle, saber, something that helps you identify what is happening in that phrase of the song, or that 16 counts, or that 12 counts. All right, so let's talk about layers a little bit. Listen again and take notes on your count sheet as you go through the musical phrases. So you want to do this one phrase at a time. It's the best way because you're listening to this. Typically, you can hear a single instrument start, and then an instrument adds, and then an instrument adds, and then an instrument adds, or several instruments add, or the winds come in, or the winds begin, and then percussion comes in with 1 or 2 instruments, and then it layers over time as we build through the song. So ask yourself, what kind of instruments do you hear? How many different instrument sounds do you hear? When does another instrument get introduced and layered in? At what point in the music does the full ensemble come in? Every instrument that can be played is being played at that point. Winds, brass, and percussion for marching season, that would be your full ensemble. What musical elements are heard at the end of the movement? Think about if you're decrescendoing into a ballad, what does that sound like? If we're coming down to a single instrument, you're going to want to pull in a soloist for the ending to transition into the next song and the next movement. And that's just a basic concept. Choreography is an art form. So there's nothing to say if you have one instrument playing, whether it's the beginning of the opening or the end of the opening, transitioning into your ballad, there's nothing to say you can't have 2 or 3 people on the field dancing or flag or whatever. I'm just giving you some general ideas of what we're looking for when it comes to musicality. Ask yourself, what is attainable for my performers this season? Your performers are always going to be your number one priority. Your choreography is more than just a routine. It's an opportunity to build passion and confidence. We are responsible as choreographers and instructors to help build their self-worth when they are on the field or on the floor. It's an opportunity to do something amazing in a person's life, to build them up and make them feel confident. You may be the only person that can speak into your performer's life in a positive way. Don't take that for granted. Watch your words. Choreography also offers the possibility for aversion and doubt. Everywhere people go, there's negativity. It's on social media, it's in friends at school, it's in coworkers, it's everywhere. Society tends to foster a negative self-image. When you have performers that have struggled with this already, they're going to expect to find confirmation in everything they do, including your program. You want to surprise them with positivity. If they do a move wrong, you don't have to say you did that wrong. There are a million other ways to say you did something wrong without killing their confidence. You can say, I see you're working on that. It's getting there. Let's keep focusing on it. Let's keep working on it. Make that a goal for next week. You're going to tackle this. I know you can do it. You've got this. You have to ask, what are your performers' experience and skill level? We want to write slightly above that skill level. If your kids are in SRAA or novice, you don't want to write at an open skill level. You want to write at an SRA or a beginner to intermediate skill level. We want to challenge them. We want to challenge the stronger skilled students with a solo, duet, or trio moments. Give them opportunities to grow more, even if you've got a lot of newer, younger performers and you've got some skilled performers that you've had for a few years. Yes, everybody has to do some of the same stuff all at the same time on the field or on the floor during their performance. However, you can give opportunities for growth and performance with those more skilled or higher skilled students. Challenge your younger students. When we've had middle or ninth grade students come into a program, they see what the older, higher level skilled students can do, and they can do one of two things. And it all comes down to how you present it. They can look at that and go, there's no way I'll ever be able to do that. Or they can look at that and go, I can do that. I'll be able to do that someday. Please recognize their limitations. Don't let that be a hindrance for not doing things. You need to be aware of that and to know how to best suit them for parts of the show that they are involved in. If you have students that have limitations of health, you want to make sure that they can attain the choreography even with those limitations. Look at your performers. What are their strengths? Include all the elements, especially focusing on performance. So, of course, we're talking about dance, we're talking about flag, we're talking about rifle, we're talking about saber if you do weapons. What are they good at? If they're good at flag, do almost an all flag show. If they're great at rifle, make sure you have a full rifle feature in your show. If they're all great at dance, heavily push your show for dance. Remember, equipment is just an extension. You can write equipment work that's not spinny, 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 spinny. That's a lot more dance while holding an equipment and doing minor things with equipment. So now it's time to actually create your choreography. So you're going to have some variations based on what season you're in for what you're looking to create when it comes to your choreography. That also includes dance, flag, rifle, saber, and performance. So keep in mind when you're performing for marching season, everything has to be bigger and higher. And indoor season, it still needs to be big and high, but not as much as you are on the marching field. Your audience is closer in proximity to you when you're indoors, so you don't have to push as big and as high with everything as you do with marching season. So marching band, you want to focus on simple and clean, and you're going to build your foundations and work heavily on fundamentals. You want to ask your band director about the season's tempo goal. You want to make sure before you start choreographing, you know what the end goal is for the tempo for the music pieces in your marching show. I have never taught a guard during marching season that the tempo for the opener was the same at the beginning of the season at band camp as it was when we ended the season. So keep in mind when you choreograph, they have to be able to do that choreography, whatever the ending tempo is. For Winter Guard, you want to focus more on body and facial expression. We do a lot more dance in Winter Guard because the body can be seen a lot better because we are more up close and personal. We also want to add a lot more complexity to the choreography in winter season. Now that doesn't mean your skill level jumps up. It just means your complexity changes. What's the difference? So complexity is how intricate and detailed your choreography is. We're going to see more of that in indoor season, and you want to do more of that in indoor season. When you choreograph, video everything. I don't care if it takes up all your space on your Google Photos. You can go back and delete it later, but you want to choreograph everything. If you grab a piece of equipment, or if you're doing dance, you're going in your driveway or in the gym or on the field, in the band room, wherever you're going to choreograph, make sure you video everything. I also use this to make videos of the choreography for my groups. When you settle on your choreography, you also want to make sure when you video, you want to turn facing the back so that they can spin along with you. If you look at the foundation of Color Guard today and Indoor Guard, it is dance. Write your body work first. Trust me, it is a game changer. Everybody can spin. That's not an issue. But not everybody is great at dance. So body is the most important element in expressive movement. Write your body first to your music. Then you're going to choreograph your equipment in second. Write your standstill features. In spring, write the end of your opener if you can get your music. Write it as an audition piece. They will have all summer to work on it and perfect it, especially if it's like a 64 count. That'll give them something to work on over the summer. Typically in fall season, the standstills are usually at the end of each piece. during your big moments, and they typically run 32 to 64 counts. Make sure you go ahead and ask your band director or your drill writer where the standing features could be, especially for that first opener. If the drill has not been written, go ahead and request where you'd like to have those guard standstill features, typically on those bigger, louder moments. If you can't do either of those, then write little to no lower body. And I know I said start with the body first, but you can write upper body. Try to stay away from putting in turns and jumps until you actually have your drill. You can always add lower body later. Some fundamental examples in musicality. Let's think about some basic fundamentals that we do with flag, for example. Okay, so you have a rowboat. If you don't know what a rowboat is, you typically either start flat or in a 0.12 right slam angle, and you turn your upper body to your left, and the flag comes up and over and down back to where it started. And then you turn to your right, and the flag goes up and behind you, and then turn back to where you started, and the flag ends back where you started. So if you took a rowboat, say each side is a 4-count rowboat, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 on the right. Take that rowboat and look at what the flag is doing. Turn that into a piece of music. What would a rowboat visually sound like musically? If I was to do that, my flag is going up on those first 2 counts, and then falling down on those second 2 counts, and then going up on those next 2 counts, and then falling down on the second 2 counts. So if you had an 8-count move, your flag would be up on 1, 2, falling 3, 4, up on 5, 6, falling 7, 8. So that would sound like ba 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 ba. So if you have something like that in your music, perfect place for a rowboat if you choose to put any fundamentals in there. If not, just keep in mind that basically the music's going up. So a general rule is your equipment is going up or something is going up for visual. And then as it's falling, obviously again, our body or our equipment is falling on those musical moments. What we're seeing and what we're hearing matches. Drop spins are pretty easy. It's down, up, down, up, down, up. So that'd be ba, 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 ba. Speed spins, double time. That's going to be very busy music. A flourish is a 4-count. That's basically just using your wrist and swinging your equipment to the side and front and back, and either side, left or right, either hand, left or right. Again, your equipment is doing an up-down motion. A ripple. When I listen to a piece of music to analyze it, one of the first things I look for is ripples. Anytime you have a series of notes that either go up in pitch or go down in pitch, that's going to be a great place for a ripple. Also, your crescendo and decrescendo moments may work for ripples as well. Adjust. Help your performers understand their show. I have this conversation at the very beginning of the season, whether it's spring camp or band camp in the late summer or summer camps. I have this conversation with my performers from the get-go. You want to help your performers understand that their show is a living, breathing art form. It starts with a blank canvas and it builds. I don't like to use the word change, so I tend to use the word adjustments. Changes and adjustments are good. Sometimes they are necessary. You want to persuade your performers to see the positive. Their attitude about things, especially things that tend to be negative, are always going to reflect your attitude. So if you're like, yay, we get to rewrite this 8 counts, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much better. It's going to fit the music well. You guys are going to have more fun with this. You walk into it with that attitude, they're going to be happy to do it and make those changes. Don't be confined to your original choreography. Be willing to make changes for the best result. Be careful not to constantly change choreo. And constantly, that means every practice we're changing something. Or even every other rehearsal we're changing something. Be careful not to change too much of your choreography. Too much of your choreography is just bigger chunks and phrases. This tends to happen when you second guess your abilities and you don't have the confidence. This also tends to cause frustrated performers and then eventually exhausted and frustrated staff. So let's talk about competitions and making changes and adjustments. After competitions, you want to listen to the judge's commentary while watching the video. You have to ask yourself 3 things. Do you agree with what the judge is saying? Then consider changing it. Are there multiple judge comments about one specific part of the show? Strongly consider changing it. Is there something you already were aware of that needs to be changed or should be changed and a judge mentions it? Then you definitely need to change it. Make the changes as soon as possible. You'll have confident and calmer performers. Changing something right before a competition is not the way to go. If you can avoid it, try and make the changes first, practice after competition. Don't make changes just before a performance. I have seen personally and heard about other instructors making changes in warm-up the day of competition. Please do not do that to your performers. It's going to add to their stress load. They've already got enough on themselves getting ready to perform. They're already nitpicking themselves. They're already being hard on themselves. The last thing they need is for you to throw something at them at the last second. Try and make sure that the last rehearsal before competition or performance is focused on cohesiveness, not on changes or adjustments. When changes are absolutely needed, don't let your pride get in the way. Don't let your choreography and being so attached to it because it's your piece of art get in the way of making a necessary change for the better of the group, for the better of the show, for the better of the program. Look at the big picture, not just that section or phrase. What is the best thing we can do here? What's the smallest adjustment we can make to make this work? Make the changes that have the least impact on your performers. For example, if you have a section and you've got several performers that it's just not attainable, make a substitution that has the same effect. So a lot of guards love 45s. I love 45s. They're beautiful. A lot of performers struggle with 45s. There is a similar, same angle trick that you can use, like a cheat for a 45. It's just a matter of lifting the flag while holding it and hitting that same angle as you turn. It's exactly the same angle as a 45. You can slow it down. Does it have a full rotation like a 45 does? No, it does not. However, you can get the same effect from it. Depending on your music, it might work. Consider using that as an alternative to a 45, at least until all of your performers can master that 45 and put it back in maybe later in the season. If there's a drill spacing issue, change your facing. Sometimes you don't have to actually change choreography. You can actually change the way your performers are facing. It can work. It's a lot easier on your performers to simply change their orientation, especially if they're not marching at the same time, than actually changing the choreography. If you can't get a section clean, shorten it and make it a ripple, especially if it can suit the music well, or take your half of the guard that can manage that well, take the other half and give them something simpler, A and B work. If what you're seeing from the guard and the choreography is not matching what the music is doing because it's just not big enough visually, then push the equipment farther away from the body. An example of this is if you do drop spins. Drop spins are great, but they are close to the body and rotate in the body space. Palm flips from the top cheater or palm flips from the mid pole, and especially palm flips from the bottom cheater are going to be a much bigger effect. They're going to be a little slower, so keep that in mind. But there is a possibility that you can take what you're doing and rather than completely changing the choreography, just make that piece of choreography bigger. Don't ever say the show is done. Your choreography is done. It's finalized. This is it. We're done. Your show is never done until your performers walk off that field or floor after the last performance. It's a breathing, living art form. Make sure that they understand from the beginning that show is not done until that last performance. Now it's your turn to figure out what works for you. Choreographing with Musicality is a system that I personally have come up with over the last 12 years of instructing. It's worked well for me. It may not fit you perfectly. It may not fit your organization or your show or today perfectly. This is just a general guideline if you're struggling with musicality in choreography for you to look at and steps you can take to make it better. Build your system. What works for you? What works for you over time? Note things that work and note things that don't work. The things that don't work, avoid them. Going to choreograph a piece of music and not studying it and just going for it, very, very, very few choreographers that can do that. Don't assume that you are one of them. Give your performers and your program the absolute best version of you when it comes to choreography. Musicality within choreography, every instructor can improve. Whether you're teaching at the youngest level, the least experienced level, or whether you're teaching at world-class level, you can improve your education, you can improve your skill level, and you can improve your experience. Your program, your kids, your performers, your staff deserve the best of you.